Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica and our new side series, Retro Revamp Rewind, where I take a look at 5 of the original games I covered on my channel back in 2018. Before we get too far involved, if you could do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. We have a new Patreon as well if you feel so inclined. What we're taking a look at today is Evil Knight or Hell Knight for the Konami M2, and it's one of the original 5 games I launched my channel on, because when I showed this capture, it was the first time the game had been shown online from a direct arcade capture. There was a few videos of someone pointing a camera at an arcade cabinet, and I'm friends with that guy, but it was really fun to be able to get the first high-definition capture off the board and into a computer and onto YouTube. But what is Evil Knight or Hell Knight? Basically, it's a House of the Dead clone. Although they came out in very similar time frames, so it's hard to say if Konami was working on this after seeing the House of the Dead, or if it was kind of worked on near around the same time, because they share a lot of similarities, but pretty much every zombie light gun shooting game shares a lot of similarities. But the basic premise is, you're in this house, you're trying to find Liv, and everything is trying to kill you, which is the basis of every light gun game ever. Something's trying to kill you and you need to destroy it. What I love about this game so much is the horror aesthetic, the environment, all the character designs, and just how destructive they are. You can shoot chunks out of torsos, you can take heads off of characters, limbs off of them. There's a lot of love and attention paid to this game, including some of these little cutscenes. Now granted, it's a Japanese game from the 90s, so the story and the voice acting are obviously going to be abysmal, but that is the charm of those games from the era. Even things like the original Resident Evil, which had clearly a much larger budget than a Konami arcade game, still has terrible story, still has terrible voice acting, but it is charming in that way. And I love that you just took the top half of that woman's head off with the shot. So much destructibility in this game and so much interactability really push it to being a great experience. And I will say that as far as all the Konami M2 games, I think I play this one the most, just because it has so many different branching paths and variables in it that you can enjoy. I think this gets more play than any of my other games, maybe outside of Toei Polystars. And I love the boss designs as well. You have this giant snake that just knocked you through a floor and took out the roof, and as you defeat him, and you will see him again, this other enemy comes through and just blows up a chunk of the snake, and as you kill him, he splits in half and exposes his spine. All of the art style, all of the sound effects, all of the music in this game are absolutely outstanding, and it just builds a really nice world for you to enjoy. And I would say that Konami did a great job with all 5 of the M2 arcade games. And I love these little vignettes here. You have these 2 zombies that I swear are wearing skeleton pajamas, and they're eating meat off a dining room table while crawling around. So they just went the extra mile in making this game feel really unique with those paintings on the wall there that I just shot. Everything feels cohesive, and while, like I said, the story is hokey and the voice acting is terrible, playing this game is just a ton of fun. If you enjoy light gun shooters, this is a game I highly recommend because it is extremely rare. You're never going to find an arcade cabinet for this on arcade floors anymore. So if you do see a cabinet for sale, or if you encounter one in an arcade, definitely buy it or throw some quarters in it, because your odds of seeing another one again are basically almost zero. And I do appreciate the bosses here as well. Clearly this is Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or at least inspired by it, and the game does take a lot of different inspirations from classic horror movies, and that's kind of fun as they weave it in through the story, because you kind of have a familiarity with some of the character designs or bosses before you've actually played the game. And again, I love the voice acting. It is just so bad that it's good, but that's just traditional 90s Japanese voice acting. It's always bad. But what's unique about the game is that there are branching paths that are hidden. You'll see I just shot a 3D doorknob off that door, and most of the doors don't have doorknobs, but if you see a doorknob and you shoot it, you're able to access hidden areas to get different keys that will allow you to get different endings or different paths through the game. So as far as replayability is concerned, compared to some other light gun games, there's some decent replayability here. Now it is an arcade game and you're only going to be able to play it so many times before you've seen absolutely everything, but trying to get further into the game without dying or trying to get a higher score than your last score is a lot of fun, and I do appreciate that. And I will say, as far as collecting arcade light gun PCBs for home use, this is one of the easier ones you can deal with, because the light gun just needs an RGB and sync signal. There are no LED sensors, kind of like a Wiimote around the screen, which is something Sega used for the House of the Dead 2 and on, and other arcade manufacturers use. So this is one of the easier games to set up at home, and I do have videos on my On a Technicality playlist as to how to play these games on a PVM or CRT. So it is something that you can do in your house if you have an old style television. If you guys ever need help doing that, please do let me know. because I have helped people find these arcade boards. I've helped them repair them, and I've helped them get them running in their own houses, because I love all 5 of the Konami M2 games so much. It's my goal to try to keep them alive, both hardware and in your minds, so that more people may actually be interested in playing them. Because I will say this game has something for everybody. The art style to me is great. The character designs are awesome with all the different destructible limbs that you can blow off. It's got a great soundtrack, and it's pretty long as far as an arcade light gun game is concerned, so there's going to be a lot of playability there for you. And if you have more than one gun, or if you have the shotgun, you can play with friends, because the guns have a fun mechanic in them. If you point them straight up at the sky, there's a mercury switch that'll complete a circuit, and you can get a charge shot, which I just used right there. There is more than one way to play this game. What I'm going to do now is just let you guys listen to a little bit of the sound effects and the soundtrack, because they are quite good, and I'll be back in about a minute. We'll close out our revisited video on Evil Knight, or Hell Knight, for the Konami M2. And it's called Hell Knight because in Asia there was already an Evil Knight, so they had to change the name, if you were wondering. I'll be back in just a second.
This place stinks. I feel nauseated.
Where are we?
Somebody's still here.
I think this place is some kind of ruin.
I know.
The fun thing about this game is that it has some hillbilly zombies in it, and I love that it seems like every arcade light gun game featuring zombies has to have one in a flannel shirt. House of the Dead 2 has it, Evil Knight has it. It just seems to be that if you're a zombie, your style is going to be to wear a flannel shirt. But now the game kind of changes things up when we have this Egyptian level, or at least it seems like it to me, because that seems like a mummy who's throwing bandages at you, and you get a couple different sort of graphical effects that kind of give you an Egyptian flair to it. But basically the story, and trust me, I'm not ruining much, is that some scientists found something underground underneath this house, and it unlocked an ancient evil. And depending on what keys you have and what routes you take, you'll see that we now go underground. And I do love the branching paths in this game, because you can play it and have completely different experiences. After about stage 3, the game really opens up and sends you in different directions. But do I recommend you buy this game? I do. I love it. If you like light gun shooters, you're going to have a ton of fun with this. I would say that this is definitely on the same level as the original House of the Dead. If you've played it before, you tell me what you think, but I like it as much, and I definitely would never get rid of it from my collection. Now, if you are looking to get an original PCB, you're looking around like $400 to $500 for that, and then the guns are going to cost you about $100 each, whether or not they're working. I got a good deal on mine, and I had to fix them, but it's not going to be the cheapest thing in the world to purchase if you so want to. But as far as Evil Knight's concerned, it's a huge thumbs up for me, not only because it runs on the 3DO M2 hardware, but because it's just a really fun horror light gun shooting game, and I love light gun arcade games, especially horror genre ones, so for me it is the perfect type of game. But short of that, thanks so much for watching. Do me a huge favor, go down below and hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell. We really appreciate your guys' support. But we will be back with another Retro Revamp revisit in the future, but we got videos on Sunday and Tuesday as well. Short of that, hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.